Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. My name's Tim, and this is
Joy.
And here we are. This is the big Christmas episode. Merry
Bing, bing,
Christmas, everyone.
bing. Woohoo! Or if you don't celebrate Christmas, enjoy your day off.
Yeah. Much everything else will be closed, so just enjoy the day to have for yourself.
I mean, that's like, for me, that's like 60 to 70% of the joy of the holidays is just not having to do stuff.
I mean, that's true. I mean, like when I was much younger, Christmas was always amazing. I mean, like you went round your various grandparents' houses and then you went around various relatives and it was a big deal who you're going to go to on Christmas Day, who you're going to go to on Boxing Day. And there was gifts and there was turkey and there was food and desserts and James Bond was on the TV and it was a whole thing.
So,
But what I found as I got older, when my grandparents died, Christmas died to some degree. Do you know what I mean?
We still celebrate it, but my family usually celebrates it on an off day and not on Christmas Day. So that ended up because nobody's schedule like ever lines up properly. So we usually like this year, I think we're on the 30th, whatever that Monday is. So usually a lot of times for me, Christmas is just a day off the actual day of Christmas, which I quite enjoy because I like to watch the parade, make my own Christmas food and not have to like, you know what I mean? Like I get to pick what I eat. And then like Molly and Adam always come over and we traditionally do, because Molly's family always celebrates on Christmas Eve. And so she's usually off on Christmas. So we have like a little tradition where we order Chinese food because Chinese is the only thing that's available on Christmas Day. And we just kind of hang out. And so it has become, I enjoy that the day of Christmas, I kind of get to relax a little bit. But also, I mean, just that you get time away from work. 'Cause like most of us are off the day before, the day after. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of time to relax and kind of reset and just say, we'll get back to that next year because I'm not doing it now.
Exactly. Though I would like to say one thing about the Christmas holidays. It really does astound me that people in the United States generally have not heard of Boxing Day.
I've heard of it, but it's not sold. Not sold. It's not celebrated. But to be fair, it comes from like giving the help a box, right, with stuff in it. Isn't that what it is?
That's correct. Yeah. So, like in the aristocracy days, the staff would be looking after the family on Christmas Day, and then the day after Boxing Day, the aristocracies would be presenting the staff with boxes of goods, and that would be their day off.
We don't, I guess in some way in America, we don't, I mean, while we do have very uberly rich people, don't get me wrong, we have the 1%. We didn't really celebrate, we don't have like, I guess, a history of aristocracy. Like we don't have like a royal family and like stuff that you guys have in England. Well, you had in England. So, I mean, I just don't think it translates. Now, a lot of people take the day off of Christmas off or day after Christmas off, but that's just because Christmas could be exhausting, especially if you have kids.
No, that's true. But the thing is, it's a holiday that's celebrated in Canada. I mean, I can get in my car and in seven and a half hours' time, I could be in Canada, yet nobody has heard of Boxing Day.
That's very strange to me. I just assumed it's because we didn't really have that kind of royal family, but maybe it's just, I don't know. Same could be said about Thanksgiving, but Canada has their own Thanksgiving too. Maybe Canada just likes to adopt holidays from other countries.
I mean, I'd like to start a campaign to have Boxing Day, because I'm sure if you ask most people if you want an extra day off, they would probably agree.
I mean, I would do it. I don't mind. I usually take that day off anyway, so let's just add it to the list. I mean, Americans have basically made Black Friday a holiday now too.
Yeah, ever since I've lived here, it's become a holiday. It
wasn't when I was little.
Yeah, or not a holiday, but a thing in the UK, and it's like, it's weird to me.
To be fair, though, Tim, that's only like in the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years in America, it's picked up speed. And now most people don't even go shopping on it. Like it's not, it used to be, it was when you had all the specials, but most people just order everything online nowadays anyway and wait till like that next Monday when you get all the discounts online, or whatever it is, Cyber Monday or whatever. But I mean, I don't remember as a kid it being like a holiday that you like enjoyed. When I was in school, we would usually get that Thursday and that Friday off, but that was just because it was easier. You just like ended the week on Wednesday, sent everybody home, right? It wasn't because it was Black Friday, but I remember my parents having to work and stuff like that, and it wasn't a holiday. But within the last like 10 to 15 years, it has definitely become a holiday here, kind of like our version of Boxing Day, I guess. But instead of giving people stuff, people go fight over a TV. How American of us. It's a
Yeah.
different version of boxing. Anyway. You guys saw Tim's face when I said that. He was like, she's not wrong. Corporate America, yay. Anyway, all right, I digress.
But there we are. Okay, well, anyhow, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Season, end of the year, day off, whatever you're celebrating today. We pass on that greeting to you. Now, we are at the very top of the show here. I think Joy has some music news.
It's not necessarily like big music news, but as a musician, I would like to recommend that people are not familiar with because he is not a very famous musician yet, but I have a feeling he will be because he's getting some like I guess like popular on social media, and I'm seeing posts about him, and 3 or 4 people sent me this guy within the last week, and I had never heard of him until this week. He does folk music. His name is Jesse Wells. It's Wells. He recently did a song. I won't get into the details about this because obviously this is a very happy, upbeat podcast, and we're not going into it, about some recent things that happened in America with United Healthcare. And it was not about what you think. It's more about like it's folksy kind of like this, like supporting the people music.
Mm-hmm.
He does such a good job, though, Tim. He kind of like embodies like that Cat Stevens, James Taylor kind of thing in a really good way. And so he became popular because of this song, but he's got a few albums out. I went down the rabbit hole and it is so good. And it's not protesty like you would think like a Buffalo Springfield song. It's more folksy and like telling a story type music that, you know, we all like, you know, the type. And it's just him, his guitar, but he has a really great voice and a really good ear for writing songs about what people feel and that almost feel hard to write about, right? Because in some ways it feels like those are like the places that we don't want to talk about. It's the stuff under the surface nobody really wants to bring up. Unless you're me, and then Tim has to hear me complain about everything. So he does a really good job of embodying that. We don't have a lot of good folk singers anymore, right? I would say that that's not a thing.
No, I mean that, you know, the rich tradition of folk singers and folk singers with a message. I don't know. I mean, you had your Neil Youngs, your Joni Mitchells, your James Taylors, and a lot of other people of that ilk. But like you say, I think that kind of thing is done to some degree.
It is, but he does a really nice job. And if you're into that, even if you're not into it, you're just into like a good musician, go down it. I kind of want to see him become a star. Like, I think it'd be very interesting to see from like the rags to riches kind of story with this guy, because I think he has what it is. And I always have said on this podcast, I've said it 1,000 times, the skill that I desire is to be able to write music and write music well, and it to translate and not sound fake. And he did a really good job of that. So for what it's worth, Jesse Wells, he has a new song out. It's a short song about some recent stuff with the United Healthcare, but he also has a whole album of other things that he's done about different things in America and just things people feel and stuff.
Well, there we are. And you can find him on on a Spotify near you.
Yeah, he's on, I think that I saw him on YouTube, but he's on Spotify, and you could, if you're on the TikToks, Facebook, just go to the Googles. He's on a couple of different things. And so I highly, highly suggest it.
There we are. That's Joy's tip of the week when it comes to music. Now,
Yes.
are you done with your music news updates?
That's it. Correct.
Okay. I have one thing for you. Led Zeppelin are releasing a documentary. And it's on February 7th, they're going to release it. They're going to release it on an IMAX format. And they're saying over half a century after they changed music forever, the Led Zeppelin story will finally come to the silver screen.
I don't know how I feel about that, but okay. I mean, is it a documentary like they're going to be talking about their story type thing? Obviously, it's not like a biopic if it's coming out that quickly.
No, it's going to be historic interviews that have never been seen. It's going to be new interviews with the surviving members of the band. And there's going to be live footage. And there's going to be apparently live footage that no one has ever seen before. And it's going to completely tell the story of Led Zeppelin, the heavy rock, heavy metal, if you will, pioneers.
Do you feel like their story is not known, though? Because I feel like their story is pretty known.
Yeah, I don't. There's not too many secrets when it comes to the world of Led
I
Zeppelin,
mean,
but I suppose if you're a fan, it might be interesting. You might learn something new.
I can't think of one band that most, I mean, obviously the Beatles, but like when I think of Led Zeppelin, like they're one of the few bands that I can think back and I can name every member. Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, and John Bonham. I would be curious to see it though. And I mean, like you said, if there's some stuff people don't know about, that's fantastic. But it's kind of weird to me because it feels like I know what their story is.
Yeah, I mean, there's always an interest in Led Zeppelin, and they have like this cultural cachet in the United
Yeah.
States that they don't have in the UK. I mean,
Just ironic because they're from London,
yeah,
right?
people like Led Zeppelin in England, I'm sure, but they don't have the same thing as they have here, where people absolutely love Led Zeppelin. And as we know, if you've listened to our previous episode with my Spotify Wrapped, you will know I listen to Led Zeppelin more than anyone else in the whole year.
It's true. But I wonder how many people know about like so for those who don't know, they evolved from the Yardbirds, which have
Sure.
like the three most famous guitarists of all time, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if it'll focus on that too, because that is something I don't know a whole lot about. It'd be cool if they kind of show how they transcend from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Do you know where the name came from?
Led Zeppelin?
Yeah.
I mean, I always thought it was like about like a Zeppelin. I don't think I know that there was a story.
Jimmy Page was talking to Keith Moon, the Who's drummer Keith Moon, about this band that he was going to put together with Robert Plant and co. And he said, "Yeah, no one's going to listen to that go down like a Led Zeppelin, mate."
That makes sense. Like I assumed it was a reference to like a Led Zeppelin, but I didn't know
Yeah.
where it came from. And for those who don't know about the Yardbirds, Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and Jimmy Page is who I was referencing.
And also Peter Green as well.
Okay, well, Tim knows more than me, guys. I don't, but I mean, I actually listened to the Yardbirds probably more than I listened to Led Zeppelin. So there you go, guys. But I don't know much about them. I get down the rabbit hole of that kind of sound though. But the Yardbirds were also one of those bands that had like 74 members at one point. Like they've gone through different people.
I saw the Yardbirds at Farmer Phil's festival.
Is Farmer Phil like a known farmer, or is he just a random guy named Phil?
This it was a gig we played with Rough Justice, probably 98, 99, something like that. And it was in Shropshire in the UK. And it was Farmer Phil's festival. Apparently, Farmer Phil had a field, and they used to put on a festival every year. And it was a sort of, it was like he wanted to be Glastonbury, but it wasn't quite Glastonbury. And somehow we got involved with Farmer Phil's festival. I have no idea how that happened. But
I like how you said it, like I know who Farmer Phil is. Continue. I'm sorry. It was funny.
But anyhow, the Yardbirds played at Farmer Phil's festival on the same day that we played. But of course, it's no one from the classic Yardbirds. It still has the name, but there's no one in it that ever played with Eric Clapton or Jimmy Page or anyone like that.
If you look up the lineup, it's had like 74,000 people. It's kind of like what we talk about, like, I don't know, other bands we've talked about have done this. It's not uncommon. Like when I sent my parents to see the Beach Boys and there was only one Beach Boy.
Yeah, Mike Love is the only one left. I mean, it's like Rough Justice. I mean, at least Rough Justice, it was always me and Hog, and there's been 74 other people.
It's all rock and roll, you know? That's classic. They love you guys. It's just a classic thing to do. And so it's either you go through 74 members or you say, we're never going to play again until hell freezes over. But somehow that never happens, but yet the money comes in and you're still playing together.
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to work with these people anymore. You're never even going to see them again. And all of a sudden, the almighty dollar makes you best friends.
Those are your two options if you're a famous rock band. Anyway, all right. I digress. All right. So, as Tim has said, is that the end of your music news, sir?
That is the end of my music news.
Perfect. So, as Tim said, I didn't want to do a classic. Let's just talk about holiday music. That's boring. We've done it before. So, what I did was I actually fell into this episode because I wasn't looking for it, but I found this article of the 20 worst Christmas songs of all time. Of course, this is completely subjective, but it's Rolling Stone, so they think they know everything about music. I always love reading their. Have you ever noticed when you read commentary on Rolling Stone, it does come off as a little bit of pretentious, Tim?
It does. I will tell you, when I used to visit here before I lived here, one of the things I would always do is when I got to like whatever airport that I flew into, I'd always buy a copy of the Rolling Stone, and I used to enjoy that. And then at some point, they had Snooki from Jersey Shore on the cover. And everyone said that was the turning point for Rolling Stones when it, as they say, jumped the shark.
Ship. Interesting. I don't really follow the Rolling Stone that often, but when you look up music news and stuff, Tim can tell you, you end up on their website a lot when we're doing stuff for the podcast because they are still like spearheaded as like the music news website, right? And as Tim said, obviously they also have a publication, but no one reads anything on paper anymore.
Very few people do. And they also publish things like the top 20 guitarists of all time. And then they have all your usual names. And they say the number 4 is Taylor Swift. Now, Taylor Swift plays guitar. She probably plays guitar just fine. And yeah, you can talk of her influence over young musicians and songwriting and stuff. But if you're looking at actual electric guitaring skills, I wouldn't put her in that list.
I have a theory about that. And this is going to be, it's not a conspiracy theory because it's true. I think it's SEO. So for those who don't know, search engine optimization, tab, I can't say optimization. What Tim said is, so when you're looking at online and you're like, for example, for me, sometimes this is a common, Tim will not know this because Tim has never looked at a recipe, I don't think. But when you're looking at recipes online, some everybody's like, that's mean. But if you know Tim, it's not. It's just accurate. No. With that being said, there's always like a 70-word paragraph before you get to the actual recipe on the blog or whatever it is. That's because they're trying to put keywords in for when you search to bring this up in recipes. So I think they throw in like a wild card like Taylor Swift to get the article higher up on the views because more people are Googling Taylor Swift than John Bonamassa or something.
I mean, it could be, but I mean,
that's my theory, Tim.
It always sparks controversy, it's fair to say, in guitar circles when these lists that come up, typically authored by Rolling Stone.
But I will say, reading the descriptors on all these songs, I was like, this guy sounds so pretentious. And like, it's not even like good. Like, it's not wordy. It's not witty. It just sounded pretentious to me. And maybe I'm being, because like, you could be cheeky, you could be witty, and it's funny in an article, right? Mm-hmm. But these just, I don't know. Anyway, so I sent this list to Tim so he could familiarize himself with a little bit of the songs. Some of these songs I'm sure Tim knows. Some of them are famous Christmas songs that artist did another version of, and some of them are originals. I heard quite a few of these, but there were some new ones on here for me. So there's 20. I don't know if we'll get through all 20, but if we don't, Tim, and we're running low on time, please let me know because we have to get to number 1 on the list. That is iconic. I have so many things to say. So number 20 is Stevie Wonder's Twinkle Twinkle Little Me. I've never heard this, not once.
Now,
didn't even know it was a song.
Yeah, I've heard it before because I have the Stevie Wonder Christmas album, which is something that is put on rotation at the festive time of year. And I mean, if you're going to have Christmas songs, why would you not want the musical genius of Stevie Wonder playing it for you?
I agree, but I will say the song, apparently the Supremes did it too previously. It was a little lackluster. I don't know. It just
it's
really...
it's not I Wish. It's not Sadook. It's I
don't know. It was just there. Does that make sense? Like if it were playing, I wouldn't complain, Tim, but I'm not going to be searching it on Spotify tomorrow, if that makes sense.
No, it's not Waitress's Christmas Wrapping,
which is the number 1 Christmas song of all time, as we've said many times. All right. Number 19 was one that I had never heard either, and I hope I never hear again. Did you listen to the New Kids on the Block, Funky Funky Xmas?
Yes, I listened to this song. The interesting thing about this, if you took the Christmas words off, it could be any other New Kids on the Block song. It's almost as if whoever wrote and produced their music, which I assume was not them, had a song sitting there ready to go. Like, okay, boys, it's June. We need to get on this. Let's do a Christmas one.
And I don't even know what they were singing about. Like, I can't tell you what Christmas is. But it did start out with, like, Another One Bites the Dust bass line. Did you catch that, Tim?
Yeah.
And then it drops into it. The guy in the article I was talking about describes it as, like, the Beastie Boys almost. And he's right. As annoying as the way he wrote it was, it's like, and I guess the lyric is, throw your hands in the air, pause, Kick the ballistics, Santa Claus.
No,
They literally rise paws with Santa Claus. I mean, I find it funny and humorous to listen to out of the sheer like humor, but I couldn't. I had to like I listened to it, but like I had to tune out. Like I couldn't fully listen to it. I'm going to be honest, Tim. It was not. It was annoying. I'm just going to say it.
Well, I have a question for you. So you have this doesn't help our listeners, but this is a question for you, Joy.
Okay.
So the picture of that we're looking at this article, which
Mm-hmm.
one of those is Jordan?
Oh God, I don't know. I wasn't a New Kids on the Block person. I know which one's Donnie. Donnie's the one in the black hat, but I
Is
don't know who's Jordan.
is Jordan the one on the right?
I think so.
Because
Let's Google it.
because people that I was around at the time when New Kids on the Block was a thing all really liked Jordan Knight.
New Kids on the Block was my older sister's thing because you have to remember I'm just a little bit under Johnny. Okay, let's see. Jordan Knight. He's the one with the earring. Yeah, okay, you're right. He has the earring with the big fluffy hat, big fluffy hair, and he's wearing like the shirt that's like got weird pattern on it.
It looks like a
If we're
jigsaw.
looking at the right, yeah. So you're right. I knew he had the earring, so I think you're correct. Yes, that's him. I don't know.
Looking at this period correct picture, he's not quite the dreamboat that I assumed he would be. Because at the time I didn't pay a lot of attention to what people were saying. I'm like, oh, that Jordan Knight, he's so nice.
Yes. That's the way it always is, though, when I look back at like, so for me, my boy bands were Backstreet Boys was my number one and then NSYNC, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was obsessed with Nick Carter as a kid. Like, he was my dreamboat. Looking back now, I'm like, he wasn't even the most attractive in the band. I don't know why I thought that. And a lot of people did. Like, he was a big favorite, right? But he really wasn't. As an adult now, I'm like, why did I pick him? Why Nick Carter? Hold on, I'm gonna bring a picture of the Backstreet Boys because I kind of want to like, hold on, get a visual, even though it's not like I haven't seen them 1,000 times in concert. But as an adult, like I now realize that Kevin was probably the most attractive. And ironically, I think he was the oldest one too. A lot of people like Brian Rich Literal too, but I didn't care for him. But anyway, there's my theory. I don't know what it is. Maybe because Nick sang a lot of the lead. It just like, like the lead singer in rock bands always gets all the attention. I don't know who sang lead in New Kids on the Block, to be honest. Was it Jordan?
I think it actually doesn't matter.
I'm not big on the New Kids on the Block, but there we go. There's the answer. All right, on to the next song. This is one that doesn't really, we don't have to talk very much about it. It really didn't spark anything for me, but I wouldn't say it was bad. It was the Pentatonics, That's Christmas to Me.
Yeah, so I've heard of the name Pentatonics. I'd never ever heard of any Pentatonics. This was the first song of theirs I've ever heard. Now
They
I'm
did a Dolly album.
assuming it's just voices. Is that their thing?
Yeah, they're a cappella. They're an a cappella group that sings just, yeah.
I mean, it's very cleverly done. I mean, it does sound it's too perfect. So I think it must be processed to some degree.
I'm sure it is. So they became famous. I don't know if they were on one of those shows or something. I think they might have been on like a show that had a bunch of a cappella groups or something, Tim. And they became like the poster child of this a cappella thing. And I think with like Pitch Perfect, the movie and stuff, there's a big renowned interest in it. The thing that I know about them is, one, they are super talented. Like when you see them live, Tim, like they're really good. I'm not insulting that. They have good ears. They know how to harmonize. They can do things with like that I have no clue how to do. But I don't always think that translates well when you're listening to something on like YouTube or Spotify to begin with. But the Pentatonics did an album with Dolly Parton. I know that much. And I haven't went down that rabbit hole, but I know it exists. Or a song or something. They partnered with her for a little bit. And have like a good relation with Dolly, so they can't be that bad.
No, I mean if you're Team Dolly, I mean it's fine. But like I said, listening to it, it almost sounded too perfect.
It does, and it's because it's polished, and it didn't have a lot of like their really good harmony. Because what's good about a cappella groups is when they build harmonies and they build a wall of sound, right, Tim? And you hear those later. This one was kind of just like singing in unison, a little bit of harmony. You know what I mean, Tim? I don't think it registered that. I don't know, but I could hear it if it were on the radio. To be fair, I am not a Christmas music person. I never have been. So for me to really like a Christmas song, it has to be a good one, if I'm being honest. And for me, I don't always like when artists do new versions of the same old song, or when artists try to come out with things that are new. I'd rather just listen to Jingle Bells than hear Gwen Stefani do her new version of Christmas at Home or something.
Yeah, I every year from Thanksgiving to Boxing Day, I play a fresh Christmas album. Now I've got this Spotify, I can do that. And I try and pick out quirky ones like Rob Halford. I think I'm going to listen.
I mean, those are fun and different, though.
Yeah, or I listened to the Brian Setzer Orchestra just an hour or so ago. But yeah. I think you're right. In fact, I've got the Gwen Stefani Christmas album. And yeah, do you want her singing the first Noel when you could have, I don't know, Bing Crosby doing it or something?
And then there's something, and maybe I, of all people, am not a traditionalist. Tim can tell you that. Like, Joy is not a conservative traditionalist, but when it comes to Christmas music, maybe I'm a little bit more traditional. I don't know, but my favorite song is The Waitresses, and that's not traditional. So take it with a grain of salt. Now, this next one was what I'm sure Tim loved, and I wonder if he had heard. Had you heard of Justin Bieber's Mistletoe before this?
Well, as you know, I'm a believer. So yes, no, I think I could be wrong. I could be wrong with this. This may be the first time I've ever heard Justin Bieber's music.
My favorite part about this song, so it's about, the video is hilarious. I have to get into this video. Did you watch the video, Tim?
I saw the video.
Not by choice, but it was, so he's like singing to this girl and she's like getting jealous of him talking to another girl about a scarf, I think. I don't know. And she starts staring at this dress in a window and she like walks away all mad or something. And then she gets home and she's like reading a book and she looks at her bookmark and it's her and Justin, like pictures or whatever from like a photo booth. You know, and she's like looks all sad. And then she looks over and her jacket is over a present on her bed. We're supposed to believe she's been sitting here reading this book, Tim, and she didn't notice that present with a jacket of it on her bed this whole time until that exact moment when she was looking at the pictures in her book. And then she pulls the jacket off. Of course, guys, she does. And she's like, oh my God, it's a present. So she rips it open and, it's the dress she was looking at in the window. And then, like, I love the card and the big Justin Bieber signature on the card.
Yeah, because to your significant other or whatever, you always put your full name.
Absolutely. In big, bold letters, so everybody knows you're Justin Bieber. And then it, like, pans to him sitting outside, and she, like, runs out to him. It was, like, the world's worst video. I've seen some bad ones, but this one was really bad. And the camera angles were terrible. They were so bad. And this was during the height of like when Justin Bieber was kind of popular. Like he had money for good cameramen, but this was not it. But the iconic part of this song is that he sings the word shoddy, like shoddy, like SHAWT, like shorty, shoddy, like how he says it over and over and over in the chorus. And I was just like, and I've heard this before, the Mistletoe song. I've heard it like on the radio or something, you know, when he was popular and I was a little younger. But I had never caught that. And now I will never unhear it. It is terrible. It is so bad. I'm sorry. But anyway, if you need a good laugh, it is worth it to go watch that music video.
Well, one thing you have to consider, Joy, this is Justin Bieber. I mean, we're not talking about Mozart here.
Okay, but like... he had the money for a better music video than this. He was a popular pop artist at one point. I don't know much about him, but I know there is one Justin Bieber song out there I liked. Other than that, I don't know anything really about him. And I accidentally fell into liking that song because I heard it and didn't know it was him. You know, like that happens sometimes. And you're like, oh, I kind of like that. And then you're like, wait a second. I like a Justin Bieber song? Where did that come from? And then, of course, when he first came out, there was that baby, 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 oh, was everywhere. And that's like the only thing I know that he does.
Well, that went completely over my head. I've never heard that before.
He had this song, and it was literally, that was like 90% of the lyrics, Tim. It was like, baby, 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 oh, that baby, 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 oh. Anyway, that's me trying to do his falsetto, because he was like a 12-year-old boy. Yeah. For lack of a word, I'm not going to say what some people would say, but let's just say his song didn't, his voice hadn't changed yet. All right, moving along, because this is going to be a long episode if we're not careful. This one I really don't want to talk very much about. It was 21 Pilots, Christmas Saves the Year. And it was during the COVID lockdown, I guess, is what they were going for.
Hmm.
And I don't really like 21 Pilots to begin with. Every song I hear from them is radio filler to me. And this didn't stand out anyway. Did it stand out to you, Tim?
I'd never even heard of 21 Pilots.
They're like, for lack of, I don't want to say the word because it'll get us in trouble, but you've referred to this type of rock music that's just kind of bland, radio filler rock music with a term that I can't say on here. That's them.
Hmm.
And it's just not my vibe.
Yeah.
So you're not missing anything.
Yeah, they're not our collective jam, shall we say.
Exactly. All right. Now, number 15 surprised me, but I don't think it's the band. I think it's the song. And I kind of agree. It's the Jackson 5's I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus.
Hmm.
And to be completely honest with you, it is kind of a weird song for a kid to be singing about I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. If you think about it at its core, it's strange.
When you're a little kid, it doesn't really, you don't really think much about it. But as an adult, it is a rather odd song. It's about implying all kinds of shenanigans are going on with Mother and Santa Claus. I mean, the Jackson 5 do a good version of this, and the Jackson 5 Christmas album, as far as Christmas albums goes, is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I like their music, but
yeah, this is an odd song. It has some spoken word pieces to it and stuff. It's an odd song.
And then, I have that, like, when he's like, yeah, it's real, Santa's real. I can hear Michael saying that in my head because I've heard this version, a bajillion times. But I never caught that he said, hey, wait a minute, get your mitts off my mommy, you homily jolly homewrecker. Until I read this article, and I'll never be able to unhear that. But anyway, I'm sure you guys have all heard that one 1,000 times, and it is kind of a weird song, if we're getting to it. All right, this is another one that I've never heard before, and this is, I accidentally closed out. Hang on, guys, let me reopen it. Tim, do you have it in front of you?
Yeah. It's Bon Jovi's version of Clarence Carter's Backdoor Santa.
Well, I'll let you take it. What did you think?
Well, the original by Clarence Carter is a cheeky song by singer Clarence Carter, who was a sort of blues soul singer, or probably more sort of soul R&B type singer.
And that's the version I had heard. I hadn't heard this.
Yeah. So for some reason, Bon Jovi decided to cover it. But rather than doing a faithful cover, this is a live version. And it's taken from a very, very special Christmas album, which is a fundraising album set, which was for funds for the Special Olympics. Yeah. And they made a number of these albums, and a lot of celebrities donated tracks. And they're always Christmas themed tracks. But Bon Jovi donated this song a live version of their cover of Backdoor Santa, and they took something that's kind of funky and cheeky, and they turned it into this heavy rock dirge, and it's not good.
I couldn't hardly. I'm gonna sound really old. I'm gonna sound like Tim, who is 107 sometimes when he talks. I couldn't hardly understand what he was saying. Like, it's just like poorly. It sounded poor quality to me.
Well,
maybe because it's live, but I just didn't.
Yeah, who knows how the mix was? I mean, he's probably still living on a prayer or something. That's why you couldn't hear him.
But yeah, I will say I would skip it if it came on and I had the choice to skip it. I'd skip it.
I mean, the writer of this article says it's a thudding hair metal atrocity. I don't think necessarily I would say that, but it's just not. It's not good. Maybe if you was there, if you was at a Christmas concert and you went to see Bon Jovi, and then for the encore, they pull out a rock version of Backdoor Santa, you'd probably think it's the best thing ever. But in the cold light of day in your house, not so much.
I do find it kind of funny that the next line is Carter sounds like he's sneaking up the back stairs. John Bon Jovi sounds like he's rolling up in a bulldozer. That's a pretty funny line. I'll give him that. All right. So the next one is a song I hate. I hate this song. I will turn it off. I will refuse to listen to it. And I yell at Charlie every time he tries to make me listen to the Christmas Shoes. I absolutely despise the Christmas Shoes song.
Again, I'd never, ever heard this before.
What? Okay, we have to go down the Christmas Shoes thing because they're in America. churches and like there's plays about the Christmas shoes.
Yeah,
Really, Tim?
all this is new information to me. I don't know what the Christmas shoes is. Like, is it New Song is the band? I take it.
Yeah, it's a band. The Christmas Shoes is the name of the song. I don't know if they ever had any other song, but it's a song. Oh God, I can hear it in my head and I never want to hear it. Sir, I want to buy these shoes for my mommy, please. It's Christmas Eve and these shoes are just her size. It's about a kid buying her shoes. I think his mom is like dying of cancer. It's horrible. And he wants to buy these shoes for her because he says, I want her to look beautiful if Mama meets Jesus tonight.
Oh, goodness.
And they have developed, I'm sorry, guys, if you're religious, this is not to insult you or any way, but there are literal plays built around this song that they put on at Christmas in America at churches. Absolutely atrocious. I would rather listen to that Sweet Home song that I don't speak of before I hear Christmas Shoes.
Yeah, I've never heard of this. This is new information to me. I skimmed through the track to be familiar with it, but I've never, ever heard of this.
You have lived a very lucky life because every year Charlie tries to make me listen to Christmas Shoes. And I have distinct memories of my mother listening to it in the car when I was little, maybe with some tears in her eyes. I hate this.
It's, like you said, new information. This is like brand new.
God, I could live this would have been, if I had to make the list, this would have been number one for me. But anyway, I don't know though. Their number one's pretty good. I will say that. Number 12, I thought it was kind of weird that it's here. I mean, it's not great, but it's not necessarily bad. It was Josh Groban featuring Faith Hill's The First Noel.
Now, Josh Groban, I know of Josh Groban because his CDs are in every thrift shop.
Yep.
So people in the 90s and early 2000s must have been buying his CDs like you wouldn't believe, because you can walk into any thrift shop anywhere in the country and you can probably find something by Josh Groban.
What was that song that he had that was like super? Hold on, I gotta Google this because I don't know that Tim would know this. But there was this one Josh Groban song that was everywhere for 5 minutes, and I think he had like, I don't want to say 10 minutes of fame. I mean, 5 minutes of fame is more like 10 minutes of fame, if that makes sense. But this song, and you guys are gonna hear me Google like "You Raise Me Up," that "You Raise Me Up," so that song. That song was everywhere, and I feel like it like kind of like white housewives of America in the 90s and the 2000s really liked it. I'm sorry, I don't mean that in a racist way. I'm just saying that's a demographic that like sticks to me when I think of that song. And it was everywhere. And he did a little bit of like kind of religious kind of music. And he has a great voice though. What he's known for is his beautiful voice because he can sing like amazingly. So he's kind of like one of those like Michael Bublé or something. He shows up around Christmas times and like puts out albums because his pipes are good.
Yeah, is he like Spirit Halloween, where he hibernates until November?
That's kind of what it is. I think he's had a few other songs that outside of that, but like he seems to kind of make a comeback around Christmas every year. Now he is like a multi-platinum, and he's had different people. I think he had like 4 albums or something. Like he has like a little bit of a backing, but it's just kind of. But he does have a beautiful voice. Now, what was interesting to me about this is, because Josh Groban has such a strong voice, and Faith Hill is a good singer, but they didn't really work well together. Her voice is too light. His voice is too intense. She's not really singing the harmonies very, like, she's trying to sing in unison with him, and a few times she's singing the harmony. I don't know. Something about the track is off. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, that it's like a cash grab almost for these Christmas songs anyway. And it's like they're doing it because they have to do it. Are they going to put the same effort in? I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
that's a good point. But I just don't think for me, they weren't a good mashup because she has a beautiful voice, but her voice is very light, very head voice. She can sing high notes. She's not a bad singer. I don't want to be able to think that I think Faith Hill is a bad singer. But Josh Groban is a very, very strong chest voice, intense, almost operatic singer. And so it just doesn't vibe. But anyway. I thought it was random it was on the list because, I mean, there's about 1,000 versions of The First Noel, and they're all kind of meh.
When I was a little kid, I always thought they were talking about Noel Edmonds.
I don't know who Noel Edmonds is. Who's Noel Edmonds?
Noel Edmonds is a TV presenter who used to have there was a kids' TV show called Swap Shop. He was the host of Swap Shop. He was a Radio 1 DJ.
Oh, you said his name was the Radio 1 DJ, I think, before.
Yeah, and also he had a program called Noel's House Party,
you've talked about him. Okay.
Which at the time was seen as some kind of amazing groundbreaking TV, but you look back on it and it was absolutely awful. And the Alan Partridge character is partly based on Noel Edmonds, if that gives you any indication.
You've talked about him before, but I didn't put a name to what you're saying because Tim has mentioned it before. I just didn't know what his name was. And I'm like, Noel Edmonds. He just sounds like a random dude that I'm supposed to know. I'm like, okay, was that like your cousin, Tim?
And he used to, every Christmas morning, he used to do a TV program from the top of the British Telecom Tower in London.
Random. It's kind of like our parade or something type thing.
Yeah, apart from it was at the top of a tall tower in the middle of London.
Well, no, but I mean, like you watch it every Christmas morning or whatever.
I my understanding is Noel Edmonds probably stopped doing that 30 years ago. But in my mind, Christmas morning wouldn't be Christmas morning without seeing Noel at the top of the telecom tower.
And then they were singing to him on the first Noel.
Well, because he was born on Christmas Day. That's why he's Noel.
Okay. Well, is it really, or are you just making that up?
No,
is that
that's
actually
true.
his birthday?
Yeah, that's why they call him Noel, because he was born on Christmas Day.
Well, there you go, guys. We all learned something. If you win Jeopardy, call Tim. So the next one was kind of weird, but I mean, I don't think it was bad. It was just there. It's Weezer's version of Hark the Herald Angels Sing.
Yeah, it sounds like every other Weezer song, really, but...
It really did. It literally looks like they just swapped any lyrics to any Weezer song with Hark the Herald Angels Sing.
Yeah, again, you went to a Weezer concert in December and they pull this one out, you're going to think it's the best thing you've ever heard.
Exactly. So number 10 is NSYNC's version of I Never Knew the Meaning of Christmas. Now, to be fair, I had the NSYNC's Christmas album that this was on. It was like they had like their Home for Christmas and they had a couple other Christmas songs. But this one was kind of not the one that stood out, I guess.
Yeah,
it just feels lackluster.
Yeah, I had to find it elsewhere, that not on the YouTube, and it sounds just it was exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Yes, so we'll just leave it at that. It's fine. It just sounds blue. Now, this one I have very distinct thoughts on. LeAnn Rimes. Now, you probably had to go a little bit down a rabbit hole for this because it seems like the LeAnn Rimes Carol the Bells, she does live a lot. Mm-hmm. That's what because I listened to 3 different versions because I got frustrated. So the reason I got frustrated is because I was a show choir kid. You know this. I have sang Carol the Bells probably 50,000 times in my entire life. Everybody who's ever in choir around Christmas time has seen Carol the Bells. Now, in the opening, the hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say, throw cares away. That part. Mm-hmm. I hated the way she was singing it because she does this weird. Did you hear like the way she like? I don't know. There was like the vowels she kind of she fluctuated or
like she enunciates them.
Yes, she kind of was like hark how the bell sweet summer, and it was very intense, and it was on the wrong syllable, and it kind of made the song sound like she was off rhythm. I don't know if it was, and I thought the first time I heard it, it wasn't intentional. Because, I mean, if you're singing it live, you might get a little off pitch, you might get a little off rhythm. I don't know if she could hear. So I went and listened to three other, I went down the rabbit hole. No, that's how she sings it. I did not like it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows the best version of this is in Claymation Christmas.
It is, actually. I agree with you, Tim. But I'm just saying, was it weird to me that, did you hear it or did it sound off? Am I crazy?
No, I don't think it sounds off. I just think that's probably the way that she does it, the way that she's emphasizing that syllable in the sentence. And it's just the way she does it. It's just the way she interprets that song. Well,
I do not care for it, LeAnn Rimes. You put stress in my life, and I did not like it.
Well, she does listen. She does listen. If she wants to respond, I mean, drop us a message on Spotify. There's a little thing where you can text a message.
And I like LeAnn Rimes. She did one of my She did the one of my favorite songs for one of my favorite Coyote Ugly. She did the Can't Fight the Moonlight song. I love that song. Fantastic song. Great album. Great movie. I don't say that about a lot of movies, but it has a really good soundtrack. And I love her version. I hated when she came out because she came out very young. LeAnn Rimes was one of those people who peaked when they were very young and they kind of fell off. And she has like a really tragic story where like people were taking money from her and she had a fallout with her parents. I watched a whole documentary on it because I was curious what happened. Because when she was younger, she had that blue blue song, whatever, where she like held out the blue and it has all the syllables and blah blah. Don't come for me, internet. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but that was her, and that song was everywhere. You could not go in a grocery store in America without hearing that blue song. Tim's like, I have no clue what you're talking about, but I'll take your word. But because it was like she kind of like a yodel when she sang it, and it was great. It was gorgeous. It was almost reminiscent of Patsy Cline in a way. And I think she even did. Wait, was that an original Patsy Cline? It might have been a version of Patsy Cline's song, but she has that same kind of sound. Don't come for me, internet, if that was a remake, and I don't remember off the top of my head. But she does sound like Patsy Cline when she sings. Yeah, it was a remake. Now that I said that, it was. Yes, that song. She did a version of it. It was super popular. It was everywhere. But she was only like 15, and she was like the youngest artist to win a Grammy and like all this stuff for that song. And then she just kind of disappeared. Tim's like, wow, that was a whirlwind that I don't know. But do you know Patsy Cline is though, right?
Sure, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that was it. She does that kind of yodel song. That's why the song worked for her. I digress. Number 8. Now that I just yelled at poor Leanne Rimes, who sells millions, and I have a very beef with her now. The Killers, Don't Shoot Me, Santa. Had you ever heard this, Tim?
No, I mean, I'm familiar with the Killers. I mean, that was rockish music that was around in the early 2000s. I had not heard this song. It has a quote unquote hilarious video.
Well, it does. Now, I will say a portion of the song's proceeds benefit Bono's charity aids that he does, like his air. So that's cool. But the song itself was very
if
I don't know.
If I had never heard it again, I wouldn't be sad, and I don't think it's going to be appearing on my my Christmas premium shuffle anytime soon.
And it very much sounds like the Killers, like kind of like Tim was saying with Weezer. It kind of just sounds like you put songs about being shot by Santa in a Christmas song with So anyway, number 7. So this is Dominic the Donkey. You've heard this before, yes, Tim?
No, I'd never heard this before.
What? This plays every year, but it's that Italian Lou Monte, whatever his name is. And it's Dominic the Christmas Donkey plays in America pretty regularly, and it's really bad.
I mean, I know who Lou Monte is, because Lou Monte is one of those people you used to see in thrift shop record collections before even the most junkiest junk records in thrift shops for $15. They were the ones for 50 cents you couldn't get rid of. And it's a name that you recognize from that. But I've never heard of Lou Monte's Dominic the Donkey before.
I'm so glad I could bring Tim into the American side of really bad Christmas music. But to be fair, I don't know why I said American, because I guess because it plays in America a lot. But he's from Italy, obviously, guys. But it's just bad. I don't know how to explain it.
It's a novelty hit, if you will.
Yeah, but I will say if it's on, I'm going to turn it off. It's kind of cute, but then when the yeehaws start and like the weird noises, I'm like, nah, I'm done.
I'd maybe turn this off and turn on The Darkness Christmas Time. Don't let the bells end on it instead.
I agree with that. And the other thing is, like, do Italians have Christmas donkeys? Is that a thing? Like, where does this come from? To our Italian listeners, or do you guys just like, are you guys like looking at donkeys instead of like reindeer? Like,
well, isn't it in the nativity scene that you see depicted? Isn't there donkeys involved in that?
I mean, I guess so, because it's supposed to be out in a barn. I've seen donkeys in the nativity scene before.
Yeah,
do you think that's what he's going for?
I mean, I'm not a religious person, but I mean, I'm assuming that's correct.
Well, it does say the reindeers can't climb the hills of Italy, which I find hilarious considering Santa's supposed to be flying.
You can't bring logic into songcraft, if you will.
I don't know. But anyway. All right. Number 6 was a gem of a song. And I'm sure, Tim, I had never heard or seen this. This was made for a very specific holiday special. Now, this is the Pussycat Dolls, and it's Santa Baby. And this was something. Now the funny part is I love Eartha Kitt's Santa Baby. I am a
Hmm.
diehard fan of her version. I think it is better than every other version out there because I think Madonna has a version. There's 74 versions of Santa Baby, right?
Hmm.
But Eartha Kitt is Santa Baby to me. She embodies it. She sounds great. Everything's perfect. This version made my eye twitch. And Nicole Scherzinger, whatever her last name is, I can't say it. She's got this crazy last name. She used to be the lead singer of the Pussycat Dolls.
Yep.
Then she went solo and broke up with them, and she's not in this. This is after her. And to be fair, she is a great singer. She's on Broadway now. Now, I have heard she's not a nice person. I don't know if that's true. And I've heard she was quite mean to a lot of the other members of the Pussycat Dolls. So they kind of broke up, did that, like we were saying earlier, Tim, we won't ever perform again, blah, blah. She's not in this.
I will
But
tell you that my friend Simon Smalls played with and knows Nicole Scherzinger, but maybe I should contact him and say, well, I mean, he's friends with her, so he's going to say, oh, she's great. Me and Nicole, we get on, but
Well, she's a great singer. She's a fabulous musician. And she used to be in a rock band before the Pussycat Dolls. And she was on one of those like talent show things. And she did like a Whitney Houston song. And she's just a really good singer. And she was one of the judges on The Masked Singer for years before. And now she's on Broadway. But I've heard she was like, and this could be very skeptical, but I heard she was not very nice. But this version of Santa Baby was horrible, like the vowel choices and the weird vocal fry at the end, trying to make it almost, and then like the mannerisms in the video was atrocious. Did you watch the video, Tim?
I did see the video. I mean, for me, if you're going to have a cover of this song that's not Eartha Kitt, who is the Catwoman in season 3 of Batman, that's beside the point. I would go with the Kylie version.
Yeah, it's pretty. I would much rather go with that. I mean, Madonna did a version too. I think the Kylie version might be better than Madonna's, to be honest.
Yeah,
But this was go and watch. Just put in the Pussycat Dolls Santa Baby, guys, and watch this Christmas special. I can't tell if they're in front of like a green screen. That's kind of what it looks like to me, Tim. The background looks terrible. The clothing were very early 2000s. The mannerisms are awkward, and no one even looks like they're enjoying. And this redhead with the long hair that's like right predominantly in front of the picture right now.
mhm.
She has some of the weirdest things when she's like making eyes at the other girls and like agreeing with them and stuff. It was really bad.
Well,
But
I will
anyway,
tell you, I'm skimming through the video now. Nothing that you see those backgrounds on the screen ever existed. That is
that's
all
what I
just
thought. They've
that.
got to be green screens, right?
Yeah, and I would also looking at it, it looks like none of those people were together in the room when this was filmed.
That's what it kind of looked like to me too. That's why the mannerisms aren't lining up. Like it just doesn't make sense. And they said it was for a Christmas special. I don't know what Christmas special it is, but I hope the rest of it was better than that. Of course, they could have made it after they broke up. Like I was just saying, they had one of those famous breakups, so they all recorded in separate spaces.
I mean, it could be.
But anyway, next one is one that I have heard a million, a billion, a trillion times in Southwest Virginia around the Christmas season. This is Elmo and Patsy's Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer.
Yeah, so this is a Christmas song I'd never ever heard of until I met Hannah because this is not a Christmas song that's ever listened to in the UK. I know it now and I've heard it 1,000 times. And in fact, downstairs on my boards that I have from IKEA, which has little hooks on it where I have the next 6 CDs I'm going to listen to. Up there right now is the Dr. Elmo Christmas album, and this is track 1 on it. The rest of the songs on it are terrible. But this is, like you say,
They were
something
one-hit
about
wonders.
Southwest Virginia and this song, it gets played all the time.
See, and I think that guy that did the Blue Comedy Christmas, Tim's gonna be like, what the heck are you talking about? There's a guy who's part of the Blue Comedy Christmas tour. The guy who did the Here's Your Sign songs and the Tim looks like deer in the headlights while I'm saying this.
no
But
idea.
anyway, I gotta Google it. You'll know this name. I think he may have done a version too, or it's just that the guy singing it sounds like him, so that's why it sells. Hold on. Blue Comedy Christmas tour. What is that, guys? Jeff Foxworthy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, because it was Bill Engvall, Larry the Cable Guy, Rob White. They had that comedy Christmas tour a few, like in the early 2000s or whatever, 2000s. And I don't know if he did a version of it. He may have, but it sounds like Jeff Foxworthy, and Jeff Foxworthy did a lot of like parody songs, and so I
Hmm.
think it just sells. This song's from the '70s, though, for those who don't know it, and it plays like if you put on 99.1, right where me and Tim are. That's like our main radio station here around here for Christmas time. You would hear it every 10th song or something.
Yeah, I think even like you get like Christmas evening WROV, the rock station, even play it.
It's fun. It's not the worst. Like I kind of enjoy, if I have to listen to like a parody Christmas song, I find this one kind of fun.
Hmm.
It's not, and it's humorous and it's not too like torturous, I guess, unlike some of the other songs on this playlist.
I would tell you the very first time I ever heard it, I can tell you, I was in the Hard Rock Cafe. Well, the Hard Rock Cafe company had a
Mm-hmm.
concept called the Hard Rock Bar, and they had only a couple of these. One was in an airport in like Singapore or somewhere like that, and one was in Bristol, not Bristol, Virginia, Bristol, which is near Wales on the M4 in the UK. And Hannah and I had done a tour of Hard Rock cafes around the UK, visiting them all. So
Yeah.
we went to the one in Wales, and on the way back, we dropped into the Hard Rock Bar. And Hard Rock International play the same videos of music in every single one of their restaurants worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer with the video. And I said to Hannah, I said, what's this? And she's like, oh, we always listen to this. And that's the first time I ever heard it.
Well, there you go, guys. I cannot tell you the first time I ever heard it because I was probably an infant. If I'm being completely transparent with you, but I do know it exists. So the next one was just I don't know why it was number four. I don't think it was bad. It was just I think maybe they're just trying to play on like a lot of people don't like this song. Baby It's Cold Outside, Seth MacFarlane and Sarah Bareilles.
Yeah, I know. Seth MacFarlane is the guy who does the voices for Family Guy, isn't he?
Yes, and he's actually a really good singer. He's done a lot of like Broadway kind of stuff and albums and different things like that. So he does sing, but mostly he does voices. It's not uncommon for people who do like, you know what I mean, to be able to imitate voices, to be able to sing, because some of it's the same kind of getting your vowels and the sounds. And so he sounds fine. I mean, it does kind of sound very James Dean, but that's just the way his voice sounds. Sarah Bareilles is wonderful. You know, she was in The Waitresses on Broadway. She had songs. She plays the piano. Great musician. I think they sound pretty good together. I don't think it sounds any better or any worse than any other Baby It's Cold Outside.
No, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it didn't offend me in any way.
I mean, there is. We all know the song didn't age well, and we don't have to go into that. I think that's what the writer of this article was getting at, but I don't know why he picked that version.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Like I said to you, it's just people get up in business about this and want to write these articles. I think it's a Rolling Stone thing.
There you go, guys. Well, I don't know. Call Rolling Stone if you're wondering, because I can't tell you. Now, this one was interesting, and I know Tim was going to be surprised to see number three was Band-Aid. Do they know it's Christmas?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose objectively, this is not a good song, really.
It kind of is a little racist, a little colonization-y.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think of the era that it was written in. Maybe, the 1980s, we
Yeah.
weren't as aware of things as we are now. But I mean, it has become iconic because
I mean, it
every time
plays
it's
all the
played,
time.
every time it's played, it supports a charity, Live Aid, Band Aid, Famine Relief in Africa. It's just
You got
every
Bono, Sting, like, you know, George Michael, like just famous people. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, it said if it didn't have the message, if it didn't have the iconic nature of the song, you'd probably think this is just some kind of 80s throwaway pop song, which I suppose it is to some degree, but it is so iconic at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I understand where they're coming from. It's not like my favorite Christmas song, but I don't hate it. Like if it came out, I'd let it play. But I could see from perspectives how it feels very, I don't know how to whitewash, you know?
Hmm.
So I get that. Maybe that's what they're going for. Because, you know, Rolling Stone likes to hit on those topics. So that's probably what they were saying. I was surprised it was number three, though. That was such kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, I would have maybe put it not near the top, but like I said, you find these Rolling Stone presenters, Rolling Stone writers can get a little pretentious.
Yeah. Now, the top two, I think, were very well earned. And Tim will probably agree. I'm very excited to talk about this. Number two is Maroon 5's version of Happy Xmas, War is Over.
Yeah,
And
the famous song by John and Yoko Lennon.
Loco, a lot of people might agree with that statement, but anyway.
Okay, it came out of my mouth wrong. It's been a long day. John Lennon and Yoko Ono, or John and Oko, can't even say it. Our friends who used to be in the Beatles or something.
It's bipartisan. But to be fair, Yoko Ono does get a lot of hate, but I think some of it is a little bit unwarranted. That's my
I
opinion.
think the Yoko Ono hate is completely unwarranted.
Yes.
If you're looking at them too, and they will say, "Oh, Yoko broke up the Beatles," and "Oh, she's the Yoko Ono of this band," it wasn't Yoko. I mean, John was the one. John wouldn't let her go anywhere, do anything. She had to be welded to his arm because John was not a good person.
Not to get on my soapbox, but I honestly think it's a little bit because she's a woman. Sorry. I feel like a lot of people felt a lot of upset when the Beatles broke because it was an iconic band and everybody liked them, right? But I also feel like sometimes a little bit of sexism does exist, and I feel like she was the target of it. And I think she gets a lot of hate that's unnecessary. Now, do I care for her music? No.
No,
Do I think she's a bad person? Not really.
No, her music, the Plastic Ono band, and the music that she's released after that, it goes with her being an artist. I mean,
It's
she's
like
an
a passion project more
yeah,
than it
she's
is
an
anything else.
experimental artist, and a lot of like kind of arty types like them will release music or release soundscapes. And for most people, it is just completely unlistenable. But she's making some kind of artistic statement with it. I mean, there's that famous video of her in the MoMA in New York City where she does that. She performs something called Voice Piece for Soprano, where she just screams for 3 minutes. And then
Which makes
she'll
my voice hurt.
yeah, and then she'll say, "Oh, I'm channeling oppressed women worldwide, and I'm channeling refugees," and but that's how she's expressing herself through her art. But objectively, you look at it, it's her just shouting for 10 minutes.
And I think that in and of itself comes off as pretentious to other people. And so that's why she gets some of the hate that she gets. But as me and Tim have talked about, well, we both love the Beatles. We both have mad respect for the Beatles. We know what if you listen to this podcast, this is not a Beatles hate podcast by any stretch. We are big Beatles fans. But we've touched on the fact that John Lennon wasn't this nice, peaceful dude at all.
No.
He would walk up and punch people just to punch them.
Yeah, no. In the dynamic of those two, Yoko is not the one I blame.
Yes. And the other thing, it's just funny to see how the scape of how they were painted. You know what I mean, Tim?
Sure.
He was painted as this artsy, want to change the world, because he was a Beatle and he had done all these iconic things. And I hate to say this, but sexism. He was painted as that guy. But then when you look at it on paper and you find out he would just walk up and punch people, he was a druggie, he did mean things. Even his friends said he was not a nice dude. But while she didn't necessarily rub people the right way, I think she's a little brass. She never on paper really did. I mean, I'm sure she did drugs, but she wasn't physically violent or did anything mean or said bad things about other people or anything of that nature. If anything, she was the peaceful one. And the irony of the way that they have been painted is just kind of funny.
Yeah, it's
But anyway.
yeah. Music history has not been kind to Yoko. I say justice for Yoko.
Yes, that's going to be one of our episodes, but I'm not going to talk about her screaming. I can't do that. With that being said, Maroon 5's version of Happy Xmas was not good. Not good at all.
No. I mean, do you know the thing that gets me about Maroon 5? The guitar player in Maroon 5 is a guy called James Valentine.
Yeah.
And he may be a good guitar player. I don't know, because there hasn't been any guitar on a Maroon 5 song in 20 years.
It's true.
But he has a signature Ernie Ball Music Man guitar. Now, let me give you an idea of some of the people who've had signature Ernie Ball guitars. Edward Van Halen, Steve Lukather, Albert Lee, Steve Morse, James Valentine.
Well, I mean, so obviously the person I know from Maroon 5 is the lead singer, Adam Levine. And he has a very high-pitched voice naturally. He plays the guitar, he plays the drums, he plays 7 instruments. He's supposed to be a musical genius in that sense. But his voice does not match everything. and it does
No.
not match this song. He sounds like he's trying, and he knows he has a high voice because all their songs are sang in that kind of nasally, high pitched tone. That's what they put out there, Tim. Why they would try to tackle this song, I have no clue.
Because they can.
And it got
Probably.
us talking, and we're still talking about it. This probably came out, what, 15 years ago? We're still talking about it this day.
Oh, probably in the rest. I mean, it's
But yeah, when I literally, I started listening to it, and like, I was like, oh no, oh no. And then it just like, I was like, I can't do this. I can't. I just like had to like close one eye and just kind of look at the screen like this. Like, my thing is like, stay in your lane. Like, they're famous musicians. They've got plenty of money. Just Adam Levine, just don't sing John Lennon. Just don't do it. That's my advice. I digress. All right. Now, number one was amazing. I absolutely love that this was the number one song. And I don't think I've ever heard these two sing together. Now, we don't know if Ashley Simpson's singing live. We will never know. But it was Jessica Simpson featuring Ashley Simpson, the little drummer boy, on some Christmas special they were on.
yeah. So I have questions. It's come from some kind of ABC Christmas special, and the video. Looking at the quality of the video, it's NTSC, so it's pre high definition era, which probably puts it at 2010 or before that.
Probably before that, because if I'm being honest with you, Ashley Simpson, so I graduated high school in 2008, and I would say Ashley Simpson's kind of claim to fame was 2006 to 2007.
Okay, so it's a little
And
bit
Jessica was before that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the video that they show is like it's them singing in a TV studio, and it's like home movies and photographs of them two as kids interspersed. I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe when they had the peak of their celebrity, this would be like, oh wow, look at them as little kids. But
it was weird. But from what I gathered was they chose to do this song. I only know this, and don't come for me internet. When I was watching this, I watched this through twice because it's so iconic, and I'll explain why I find this so iconic. Not a good way, in a humorous way. Somebody in the comments were saying that this was a song they would perform a lot when they were children, and so they wanted to do like a rematch of it. Now the irony is, when you're listening to it, first of all, when they say pa-rum-pa-pum-pum, I don't know what the heck they're saying, but they're not pronouncing those syllables in any way I've ever heard someone sing the little drummer boy. It was so, did you hear it, Tim? It was so weird. It was like, I don't even know, like, da 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 pa-rum-pa-pum-pum. That's how most people would say it, but they were like, I don't even know. I can't even do it with my voice. I don't even know what that sound was.
What does pum even mean?
It's supposed to be the sound of a drum. Isn't it? Is that not what it is? Because it's the little drummer boy. I always thought that. Da, 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 I play my drum for him. Now, I think the irony is isn't that song supposed to be like have like a really dark meaning about like kids in war or something? I don't remember.
It probably has.
Anyway, I think it's supposed to be the sound of a drum. But when most people sing it, it's supposed to be like pa-ra-pa-pum-pum. Whatever they're singing does not sound like that. Now, the weird part about it is Jessica Simpson, for whatever reason, she is actually vocally a decent singer, but she always puts on these weird like vowel choices and pronunciations and adds weird ad libs, kind of like Fergie when she did the national anthem. You know what I mean? That are not necessary in any way. Like, did you hear it? Like, why was she singing? Like, what's with the mannerisms? And then, like, at one point, she, like, does, like, a wink at the camera and then looks at her sister, and it was so uncomfortable. It's exactly at 20 seconds if you go look, guys. Just so you know. At about 20, I don't know if it was a wink, but it was, like, a weird facial expression, whatever eye kind of wink. It was so weird. And, or right before 20 seconds. And then, like, her sister actually sounds better, even though her sister, I don't think ever could sing because most of the time she wasn't singing live, for which, she famously got found out she wasn't singing live. But Jessica can. If you hear Jessica sing and she's not putting on these weird syllables and trying to paint this weird picture, she can sing. I don't get why she does that. I don't know if it's like where Britney, how they made Britney sing in the baby voice. I don't know if that's what she's trying to do, but I have never heard a version of the little drummer boy that was this drawn out and this overdone. It is the most simple song ever. It's literally I play my pump over and over. But their version is the most 2000s weird thing I've ever heard. Did you not think that, Tim? Or am I the only one who found this to be strange?
I think it's because of their celebrity at the time. And you get these people who like to do this over-singing business, like you say, with Fergie.
It's like that. And I think Jessica thought that she was putting on a show, but someone, and it always makes me wonder, like, when they're doing these and, they've got all their producers and their managers and their PR people, does no one tap them on the shoulder and be like, hey, can we just, like, talk about your choices? Like, was there no vocal coach that's like, maybe you don't need to hold that note out, or maybe that ad lib is unnecessary? Like, do they not have, is it because they become so famous nobody tells them these things anymore?
I mean, it could be, but then they might say, oh, great take, we'll keep that one.
I guess.
I don't know.
Because they want to keep getting the paycheck? I don't know.
Though I would like to say, on our Christmas episode, it never dawned on me before that Parumpa Pum Pum was the sound to the drum.
When Tim said that, I was like, isn't it the sound of the drum?
I mean, it's like obvious now, but I don't know. I just never put the two together.
It's going to go down an iconic no-name music cast history. Tim did not realize that, because he's literally saying, I play my drum for him.
Yeah, but I've been in and around drummers since I was 12 years old, and I've never heard a drum go parumpa pum pum.
I mean, I think it's supposed to be like a snare drum, like a single snare. Da, 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 da.
Snare drum goes crack.
Well, yeah, they have when they're playing like a marching band, like they kind of have that sound to it. I know the snare has the thing underneath it that makes the sound and makes it a snare, guys. I know the basics of drums. As you guys heard, Joy tried to be a drummer. She was bad at it, but she did try. But at least she could hear it this song.
Yeah, I wouldn't recognize that as a sound of a drum, but I said that's just from being in noisy rock bands.
Fair enough. I mean, I don't know. Well, you have to remember, and then like with the snare, you can add tension. You can loosen the snare piece underneath to add tension to make it more crispy or to make it more. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's really technical terms.
More practically, you can actually switch the thing off because any kind of sound in a rehearsal studio will make that thing vibrate.
Yes. And if you're trying to set up your drums, and which I did do that many times, it's really annoying. They're everywhere you're like trying to set up drum sets, you know what I mean, when you're opening. But anyway, with that being said, that's how we'll close it. If you haven't heard that version, please go listen to it. I would love to hear everybody's thoughts. The comment section is hilarious. Like, there are so many people making so many comments, and like a lot of people are like, how did I not know this gem existed? Thank you, Rolling Stone pretentious guy who wrote this article. You obviously listen to our podcast. All right. Well, we hope you guys have a lovely holiday season. Enjoy some of these songs, eat some food, do all the things, and I guess we'll see you next year.
Absolutely. Now, I just want to say one thing before we close out. Obviously, be kind to everyone that you meet, but I just wanted to bring to your attention a banner ad that's just come up on this article that Joy and I have based this episode around. Okay? From our friends at Miralax. Okay?
Oh, my Lord.
This is what it says. Holiday hustle is real. Give your gut the gift of relief.
Great. Pum pum. There's my drum. That's my version of da-da-da-da-da-da.
I don't know. I've been looking at this little ad in the corner for the whole hour and however minutes we're recording this, and it's like, well, what copy editor thought this was a good idea?
The Rolling Stone is a weird place. I don't know. What's funny is my ad is just the all-new Nissan Kicks and it's a truck.
Oh.
That's all I got, Tim. You got the fun one. But anyway, all right. Well, with that bit of wisdom, have a good holiday season, guys.
Okay, see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.